Hi everyone, this is Joseph Ehrlichmann, and the project I have been working on for over a year now is building a sustainable service learning project program in an inner city public charter high school. Thanks so much for tuning in. My research site is Larchmont Charter High School in central Los Angeles. It's a diverse by design school, which means that we recruit from a broad array of ethnic groups and economic levels. And thus, it's the most diverse school that I've ever taught in over 13 years of teaching. Our school includes in our charter a capstone 11-12 project requirement for graduation, which unfortunately has had very little in the way of either design or implementation strategy in the history. And I was hired to try to bring some stability and purpose to the course, thus the impetus for my action research project. Here, if you'd like, you can pause the video and read the language in the charter about the project requirement. The rationale for such programs is obvious, and it's supported by research such as this from Nicole Bizzetto Moore. Again, you can pause the video if you'd like to read closely. So the charter mandate and student struggles, along with a lack of institutional vision and network-wide intentional support of this school's signature project, has resulted in years of lackluster projects and wide-ranging negativity surrounding the class. Some key findings from the literature are listed out below, which have contributed to the rationale behind such efforts, one that is growing across the country. And go ahead again and pause the video to read through some of these findings. Here are some more findings about the importance of direct involvement in the local community and building partnerships for these kinds of projects. Again, if you'd like to pause the video to read them, if you would like. So after some inquiry and scholarly research, I came up with two prominent key research questions. R1 is, what is the impact of requiring students to connect with government or community organizations on student engagement and perceptions of success in certain service learning projects? R2, what components are needed to build sustainable service learning programs in an inner city high school? My methods were mixed, primarily qualitative, including a year-end survey with all of my juniors, observations with some small groups of those juniors, and interviews with service learning teachers and with persons from some community organizations that the students partnered with for their projects. My results found that, for example, the survey, first of all, it was written to collect data on student attitudes about the course components, how they felt before and during the course, what they found valuable, whether or not they rated themselves as motivated, and so forth. Students indicated in the surveys that the process of developing questions for their own surveys helped them to better understand the depth of the topic and come up with potential ideas for the service and action project. Students also indicated that their own interviews with outside organizations proved to be the most positive of all the components. More than half of the respondents indicated that they had planned to complete a project in cooperation with the organization of the person they interviewed. For the interviews, data revealed that the most critical pieces for both sets of respondents, including service learning coordinators and representatives from the nonprofits, were, number one, the importance of activities that allowed students to find ways to combine the things they like to do or are interested in exploring with topics of social justice. And number two, the mandate to connect with outside agencies for interviews. All subjects expanded on the second finding to suggest that one of the most critical pieces of an effective program was to build those partnerships with local organizations for the purpose of things like guest speakers, experiential field trips, and a potential listing of projects in which students could participate to fulfill service requirements in their schools. Furthermore, they maintained that facilitating direct contact with such organizations did foster a sense of real purpose in students and gave them potential basis for future career or lifelong service opportunities. For my observations, whether or not students could be observed as authentically engaged was not possible with this instrumentation. It appeared to me that students felt a sense of purpose, but that was only subjective and could only be correlated loosely with the survey data. Students were clearly working hard, but it was difficult, if not impossible, to measure authenticity. As for the success of their work, all three groups completed projects successfully. For example, Group 1 worked on organizing and executing a Red Cross blood drive, and their efforts were essential in the school yielding more than the minimum number of pints donated to be considered successful by the Red Cross. Since then, they've run two more blood drives and have increased the yields of blood donations. Group 3 worked on a tree planting effort in a nearby park in cooperation with a local nonprofit, and it was clear that through their help, the number of trees that the group planned to plant was met. So the conclusions of the study are generalized below. The results found that that involving students in a structured research program helps them to better understand their topics of choice and lead to more interest in completing projects of purpose. Moreover, the study found that requiring students to connect with off-campus community organizations may be beneficial in helping students realize more success and engagement in service-related projects. Even so, students were found the activities to when students found activities to be important, they still thought they were burdensome. Many were looking for an easy way to complete the tasks rather than becoming more intimately involved in the topics intrinsically. So that's another place for me to work on. Some more conclusions. Students need to be given more opportunities in 8th, ninth, and 10th grades, and even earlier if possible if they're Larchmont students at the elementary and middle school campuses. They need the opportunities to work directly with off-campus organizations to foster relationships and bring students into contact with beneficiaries of service. Also, building a list of partnerships with off-campus organizations and providing more extensive opportunities for students in lower classes to do off-campus work in connection with their education will help to generate more intrinsic motivation. For next steps, I plan potentially to present my work in totality to Larchmont's administration and the Board of Education, looking to potentially establish a full or part-time coordinator position to conduct outreach and build more and longer-lasting off-campus partnerships. There are plans perhaps to split the classes among 4 to 6 11th grade teachers to allow for more teacher-student relationships to be built and for more opportunities to collaborate for strategies to build that intrinsic motivation. We also want to work with elementary and middle school campuses to develop a stronger path of signature project work that will lead students to know really what they want to do for their senior project well before they hit their junior year to start the research phase. Just want to thank everyone for tuning in. This presentation really only scratches a bit of the surface of my study, which has been over a year in the making. So if you're interested in reading my full published project paper, please go ahead and contact me at the email on the first slide. It will be available toward the end of December, I hope. So thanks again for tuning in.